Hey everyone, my name's Walter, and we're finally back here once again to talk about more nice guy stories. Nice guys are guys who will readily tell you about how nice they are, and they think this trait will get them a girlfriend, or at least get them laid. They'll ask women out over and over again and give unwanted gifts. They'll shit-talk their current boyfriends. And this isn't a new thing either. I once covered a story my mom had from the 70s, and the guy was exactly the same, just we didn't know the stereotype until the internet came along. Well anyway, let's just get started with more nice guy stories from Reddit. I'm still using the same Ask Reddit thread as last time. What's your worst nice guy story? I cosplay as a hobby on the side, which in turn attracts a lot of male attention, which I have no problem with. 2 years ago I attended a convention and had a guy message me on Facebook saying, "Oh, I saw you at the con this weekend and I just wanted to say you looked really nice." No problem, right? Normal compliment. I drop a simple thank you. A few minutes later, he messages me saying, "So, would you go out with me?" Awkward. I immediately drop that I have a boyfriend and that I have no interest in it. But then he proceeds to ask again. "Okay, but would you date me?" Again, I reply no. He then proceeds to go into this sob story about how he's nearly 30 years old, had never kissed a girl, and wants nothing more than to be able to kiss a girl, grope a girl, and to have sex with a girl. Because all these sex offenders and douchey guys can get laid. He threatens suicide because he feels like he should get a girl because all the bad guys can, and starts crying about how no girl has ever acknowledged him and that he's no better than the scum of the earth. Wonder where he got the idea that crying and talking shit about himself is the way to attract women. And at the same time, he's somehow cocky enough to be like, "Oh, you have a boyfriend? Yeah, well, what if you had a shot at me?" That's why I don't believe any of it. He's just manipulative. I immediately shove it off and simply say, "I don't know what you're looking for me to say. Sorry?" Fast forward about another year. I attend the same con that year and see him. No acknowledgement there. He then messages me again after that weekend, and we go into the same conversation about his sorry love life. I tell him off the bat that we've had this conversation, and that I was still in a relationship and had no interest, and how I seriously didn't know what to tell him. He then proceeded to go off and start calling me a whore, and that my cosplays were ugly as shit, and that I probably whore around with all the guys who compliment me at conventions. I kinda expect to get some hate around for turning guys down at conventions, but this was just something else. I'm not sure why they even expect someone they don't even know and who they've been harassing to care if they're suicidal. Sorry, I just really hate that tactic. It's offensive for multiple reasons. At one of my old jobs, there was a girl I was close to. We were pretty solid work friends, turned outside the job real friends. We had a lot of fun together, and on our breaks we'd go over and talk to one another, or try to plan our lunches together. Eventually, we began to include one of her friends into the mix, and that was really cool. A couple weeks later, one of the guys on my team I would talk to started to sort of butt in and talk to the new girl that was original girl's friend. New girl is around our age, 20s, and honestly, she was pretty hot, but not in a way that I normally go after since she was an inch taller than me, and I'm not about that life, while the guy friend I had was in his 40s and a lot taller. New girl and 40-year-old guy friend began to hit it off, eventually going as far as to take their own lunches together sometimes. Well, eventually new girl begins to flirt with this really cool black guy. 40-year-old guy doesn't like this, not one bit, and begins a cringeworthy quest to blockade himself between new girl and super cool black dude while trying to show me all the texts between himself and new girl, trying his hardest to assure me her texts were flirtatious and she wanted him but was being a whore. Me being the normal person that I am insisted right back she was just being polite and sending a thanks LOL to being called the hottest chick in the whole office isn't flirty, but he being crazy didn't listen. That feeling when you're 40 years old and the best compliment you can come up with is calling her the hottest chick in the whole office just sounds so juvenile to me. This continues to escalate until we're all out at a bar near our work on Friday night. As usual, I perform gangster rap karaoke because I'm so milk white it makes people laugh, but during my performance, chaos ensues. 40-year-old guy is drunk, flips to the berating stage, and begins to drunkenly yell/cry at her for being a stupid fucking young whore and leading him on because he thought they had a thing together and he'd bought her lunch so many times. And shots. Which, come on, Chipotle a couple times a week and shots at the bar does not entitle you to sex. He is kicked out of the bar and drives home drunk. I feel extremely guilty for ever introducing him to the circle and profusely apologize to both new girl and original girl. They said I couldn't have known and didn't blame me. New girl gets a phone call the next Saturday night from 40-year-old guy. He leaves a voicemail while in the shower, crying how much he loves her, how much he wishes he could be with her, that he'd be able to give her the world. But then it turns a little nasty when he says he'd hate her if she didn't let him do it. If you're ever feeling bad about yourself, remember that at least you've never sent a crying voicemail from the shower. Unless you have, of course. She does not respond. Monday comes, 40-year-old guy does not show up to work. Tuesday comes, 40-year-old guy shows up in the afternoon. To his credit, he is able to act like nothing at all happened, and is business as usual until he goes on a break and tells super cool black guy what a whore she is. Super cool black guy, being super cool black guy, immediately tells management about this. Management calls all of us in one by one. We all give testimony about what happened. Management decides to terminate 40-year-old guy, but he isn't done yet. Oh no. This is why you should be careful about going after your coworkers, because you can't avoid them. You'll have to go back to work and see them eventually, whereas normally you could just never talk to a girl again after doing something stupid like that. 40-year-old guy pretends like he takes the firing really well, breaks down in an apology to the management, writes a quick letter apologizing to new girl and says he understands, he'll leave immediately, and requested I pack his things for him and deliver them downstairs once he's escorted out. I do this task. I mean, why kick a crazy dog when he's down? I'd like to be told to wear red tomorrow, and I feel this is my final opportunity for that. I give him his stuff, he says some cliche douchebag tool line, something along the lines of, "Hose, man, what can you do? Some are just crazy," and tries to high-five me. I reject it in a rare moment of reckless bravery, potentially missing out on being warned to wear red. 40-year-old guy leaves, but he comes back at 5 p.m. He waits in the parking lot. 40-year-old guy sees super cool black guy, tackles super cool black guy, but is immediately taken off of him by our work campus security and ultimately charged with assault. Super cool guy ends up dating new girl. Original girl and I move on to other companies, but still remain in communication via text, despite being across country now, and 40-year-old guy is possibly still in jail. The comments are saying the wearing red thing is supposed to let a disgruntled employee know not to shoot you. Kind of like some of you guys are alright, don't go to school tomorrow. I kept waiting for the fact that the guy was black to become relevant, and it never happened, so I guess it was just for visualization. Sadly, our nice friend simply couldn't cut his losses before he lost his job too. I met this guy in college who seemed really nice at first. We had a few of the same classes, so we would often meet up to study and whatnot, and it turned into dinner with other mutual friends. It was genuinely fun for everyone. He would often make copies of his notes for me if I happened to miss a class, be waiting with an extra coffee before our 8 a.m. class, just generally nice stuff. He was a little flirty at times, but I already had a boyfriend, my now husband, and didn't think much about it. However, as time went on, he became more and more persistent. What had once been friendly waiting for me to get out of class so we could grab lunch turned into very one-sided flirting. I decided to just be very frank with him, sat him down, and explained that as he had always known, I had a boyfriend, enjoyed his friendship, but the way he had been acting lately was not okay with me. He apologized, promised to back off, and to my surprise he did. A month or so later, he asked for my roommate's number. I asked her, and she was fine with it, so I passed it along. They started dating, and I was genuinely pleased for both of them. Then one night, she brings him home. It was late, I was already in bed. I hear them come in and then hear someone get in the shower. A few minutes later, I hear my bedroom door crack open. I open my eyes a little, expecting that it is my roommate asking for a condom or something. It's not my roommate, it's him. I, for some dumb reason, decide that I'm just going to pretend to be asleep, thinking that he just wants to come in and chat or something. Wrong. He sits down on the edge of my bed, whispers my name a few times, and when I don't respond, starts trying to grope me. I jump up and start yelling bloody murder. My roommate runs in a towel to see what's going on. I tell her what happened, and she kicks him out after threatening to call the police. We both blocked him on social media after that and rejected any calls/texts from him. She and I are still the best of friends, never talked to him again. Good God, is this his idea of playing the long game? Oh, I'll just date her roommate and then maybe manage to molest her sometime when I get the chance. Was he really thinking something that horrible, or was it just a crime of opportunity? Well, it doesn't really matter, it's already the worst thing anyone's done in this video. I think I should have time for another story though, at least. So I was in 7th grade and I dated this guy. Let's refer to him as Luke. He was a crybaby, but was sweet, so I stayed with him. After a while I broke up with him because he was getting really clingy. 2 years later, I am a freshman in high school, and I see him in the hallway. He was older than me, so this was the first time I had seen him in like a year. He comes up to me and is like, "Hey, how you been? We should go on a date sometime." I say no. When I get home that day, the phone rings. It's Luke. He still had my number from all these years. He started talking about how seeing me again rekindled old feelings. He continued to bug me and call me, so eventually I said yes, dumb idea, to a date. We went on the date, and then it got worse. I break up with him again. 3 years later, since my town is pretty small, we ended up working at the same little restaurant. In the years we hadn't seen each other, he had started smoking weed and became an alcoholic. He waits for me outside after work and confides all of his feelings. How he had picked up drinking and smoking to deal with the pain of me not being in his life. I quit that job fast and I have not seen him since. Ah yes, I know I started drinking to forget the pain of my first girlfriend. Oh wait, I can barely even remember that far back. This guy's just full of shit. There's so much guilt tripping in these stories. My friend currently is doing this to one of the girls in our little social group. He buys her presents for 2 years of being together as friends, and he makes it so awkward the way he does it. I feel sorry for her sometimes. Presents for 2 years of being friends? Ouch. It's like those friend anniversary statuses Facebook tries to get me to make and I ignore them because that would be posting cringe. One more. So there was a guy I was friends with in high school. Let's call him Jack. Typical, totally amazing guy friend. Helped me through a really rough breakup, held my hair when I got too drunk and threw up. Would just hang out and shoot the shit with me till 2 a.m. Zero sexual attraction between us. We'd both admit we found each other attractive, but not in the tear your clothes off sort of way. Enter Michael. Michael and I start dating, and boy am I smitten. But due to distance, Michael and I take a little break. Jack and I hang out one night, flirt a little, Jack goes home. Michael and I get back together. Jack texts me telling me how he should have slept with me when he had the chance. He never had the chance, and how sexy I am. And if I ever break up with Michael again, to text him, later telling me to only text him if I want to hook up. So I haven't texted him since. You know, it takes a lot of time and effort to foster a friendship like that. Apparently only takes a few seconds to throw it away though. Funny how that works. Anyway, that is about all the time I have for you today. Thanks for watching, everyone. Please like if you liked the video, dislike if you didn't like it, comment if you have something to say. And who doesn't have something to comment when it comes to nice guys? And if you're new here and liked it, consider subscribing because it really helps me out a lot. I'd also like to shout out my generous patrons. I'll be doing that by name here sometime this week. I do have a Patreon, in case anyone feels the need to contribute beer money. Well, that was a lot of nice guys in rapid succession, so let's cover something different tomorrow. Dates or bad roommates or something else. We'll see what I'm feeling. Anyway, thanks once more. Have a great day, everyone, and don't try to guilt someone into dating you. Even if it works, it's not going to lead to anything good.